Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Grossman Files. Hey, we got a great one for you today. Yes, my people of the so-called world, we got a great one for you today. Thanks everyone for being here. I want to say, well, it's been quite a while since we've had a live stream. Of course, it's been 2 months, and why? Well, because I wanted to take all this back into the walk and talk realm. I've really been enjoying my Van Cortlandt walks, and of course, I hope that you are too. That you've been enjoying taking those walks along with me as I talk about all sorts of topics from Carl Denaro to his mayoralty. Jim Boots Rothstein, who, by the way, I'm starting to think Rothstein, the dude was spiritually sick as hell. If you read his book, I should have had it closer to me. I have his stupid book. It's called The Way It Was, Wallowing with the Pigs and Soaring with the Eagles. It talks about this book called Times Square. I think the author's name was William Sherman or some stupid shit like that. I'm not even sure. And Rothstein makes a bunch of appearances in this book, and you hear Rothstein, the way he speaks, it's actually quite spiritually sick. He's talking about defecating in people's mouths. I mean, this dude is... And also, what kind of a cop is walking around wearing cowboy boots? Is that like normal? If anyone in the in the audience is from NYPD, are you just allowed to wear cowboy boots walking around? Is that going to help you if you have to run away from a firefight? Anyway, I'm getting a little too far afield. I've been talking on my walk and talks about all sorts of stuff. The Savino case, alleged Netflix rumors. What else? The spiritually sick snap suture lover Maury Terry. And of course, I want to give a shout out to one of the new discoveries I've made in the true crime realm. This dude started commenting on my site a couple months ago, and I noticed his positive attitude and his generally nice demeanor. And well, it always pays to be nice to Manny also. So we want to give a big shout out to New Cokes 2024 official. Everybody check out his site. I'll be honest, New Cokes, the stuff you talk about, I'm not interested at all. I'm just going to be honest. I'm a Son of Sam guy. I mean, you're talking about the East Bay rapist. You're talking about Zodiac killer. You're talking about Earons. You're talking about, today you were talking about Weishaupt and the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. And I'm sure many people in our audience would love to hear what you have to say, and especially because you're Manny endorsed. And what do I mean by that? Well, this dude isn't like, he's not a conspiratard troglodyte, mouth-breathing moron of the Maury Terry set, who, as they get increasingly marginalized out there in the world, a smaller and smaller group, they become more and more, of all things, anti-Semitic and racist. These people are disgusting. You should see some of the horrific tropes these people are using against Jews when they talk to each other. It's crazy stuff. But this dude, Vince at New Coke, he's not one of those. He's actually doing what we do here. And I'm proud to say that this was a guy who says that he was influenced by what we did. So, of course, we really like New Coke. So give old New Cokes 2024 a subscription. He's a good guy. And yes, Johnny Cat, my man, it's good to see you. In fact, I'm going to invite guests in. I don't care who calls in. Let me let's see if this works. If anyone wants to call in to say hello, because we're taking it easy today. Like today, what's up, Gary? We're taking it real easy today. We got some topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the first thing I want to say. Is this Berkie dying, or is he just thirsty for attention? We'll get into that with some recent blog postings of his. And of course, I got for all you guys out there, exclusive to the Grossman Files, we got close-up pictures of Berkowitz's gun at the New York police department's forensics lab. So that should be an interesting little foray, because while we did see some of these pictures in our great show with the great Milsurp, the pictures that we had on that show were just off the web. They were just stock photos. I got you exclusive stuff taken for me directly right at the source, so you will never see these pictures anywhere else except for the Grossman files. And what's really cool about what I got is that I didn't know that there was a little story written by, I don't know who wrote it, we'll read it, but that accompanies the gun. We've only seen pictures of the gun, but NYPD tells the tale of Son of Sam, so it'll be interesting to read it from that perspective. And yeah, Johnny Cat, you and I got some work to do, man. I don't want to give too much away, and in fact, I won't say specifically what we got going on that me and John are in talks working on. But another shooting site scene, where not only are we going to tell you for the first time what actually happened because we have some exclusive information, but we're also going to relate it back to Maury Terry's tale, his his tall tale of Husau, his complete garbage that he talked about this specific shooting. And it's one that we haven't really dealt into much, mainly because we haven't had many files. So we'll leave that out in the ether for you guys. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up in 2025. Today is the opening salvo, and we're just basically just having fun today. So we're going to talk about his Berkie dying, and of course with the NYPD lab. So what's up to everyone out there? Oh, yo, my boy, New York City Crime Spot. Yo, he's calling in. Yo, Crime Spot.
Yo, what's going on, bro?
Yo, Spot, you hold on one second. Are you actually on?
No, I have an avatar on.
Yeah, I know, but are you coming in through my system here? Hold on. Are you actually on screen? Because for some reason I'm not showing you on my screen here. Can everybody hear Crime Spot out there? Hold on one second. Let me see if I'm something. Yeah, you see, can you see yourself on the live screen? I can't see you.
No, not on the screen. I just see myself like behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah, let me take you off and get that figured out. Do me a favor, just call back and maybe that'll work. Maybe it's that I gave the wrong link out. I don't know. Anyway, well, maybe that's not working. Hold on one second. Invite guests. Need a new link. Refresh. No, cancel. Anyway, all right, listen, I don't want the technical stuff to get in the way. Oh, Chris Banks said that we can hear him. Oh, okay, good. All right, so Crime Spot, if you call back, maybe it was because you had no avatar. That's why. All right, so Crime Spot, call back and we'll get you back on. All right, so Crime Spot, I'm just going to play a 2-minute video so we can get everybody, including yourself, up to speed on the NYPD forensics lab that we're discussing in today's and showing you exclusive photos. I found this this online here, and I wanted to play it for you. It's just the stock footage from, like, I don't know, WPIX, but let's take a listen. It's only 2 minutes long and get you guys familiarized with everything.
A .44 caliber in pristine condition with a notorious reputation. It was once in the hands of a serial killer, David Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam. In the 1970s, Berkowitz went on a shooting rampage, targeting victims parked in their cars in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. This is the gun taken from Berkowitz after his arrest.
He was apprehended. He was advised of his rights. He made a statement, well, you got me.
Some of the city's most notorious weapons used in high-profile cases are on display here. The Son of Sam gun is only one of them. That is a rocket launcher, fired at the United Nations decades ago. And there's more.
We have, submachine guns, some of the larger handguns, military rifles.
All of these weapons are stored inside a private room at the NYPD's forensics lab in Queens. Pix 11 gets a rare look inside. Captain Matthew Strong tells us none of these weapons are any different from those used in everyday street crime.
It's really not the guns themselves that are significant. It's how they end up affecting the people that they affect.
The shooting death of musical icon John Lennon rocked this city. It was 1980.
He emptied the Charter Arms .38 caliber gun that he had with him and shot John Lennon.
Mark David Chapman walked right up to Lennon at the Dakota on the Upper West Side. That's the .38.
The gun that killed John Lennon.
These weapons are all part of the city's infamous history.
If we have to use them, then they'll get cleaned right afterwards just to make sure that we're maintaining them. And we just keep them on a schedule to make sure that they don't fall into disrepair.
Sometimes these guns are used as a reference or learning tool during investigations.
The high-profile cases make the news, and they're definitely drawing the public eye, but really the problem is not a high-profile problem. It's an everyday problem for many people.
Nicole Johnson, Pix 11 News.
I was just drafted to.
All right, so we're seeing that fun thing there with the forensics lab, and that must be an interesting thing to see every day. And of course, people don't get to see that. It's closed to the public, and only NYPD members can get in there. So it's kind of interesting that some of the most coolest displays in true crime history are like locked away for only the professionals to see. I highly doubt that'll change anytime soon. So, hey, we got some people in here before we start talking. Maybe we'll do the presentation with my fellow guests that are my unexpected guests. So first, let's get in NYC Crime Spot. My man. Yo, you're on, Crime.
Yo, what's up? My bad. I thought I was waiting to see myself on the thing there. But what's going on, man? How are you?
Not much, and actually, we got Nuke Hoax behind the scenes here too. We'll get to him in about a minute, but first, I want to talk to Crime Spot for a little while. So, of course, for anybody who doesn't know, the absolute legendary dude who I'm speaking to right now in true crime YouTube history, we're talking about the one, the only NYC Crime Spot, who runs and he does all sorts of New York City history, crime history, mob history. He's got a great new podcast with Frank Fiordolino from, who was he with, the Bananos?
Yeah, Bananos.
Yeah, that he does, called 52 Topics. So give it up for Crime Spot. Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up? No, I just wanted to say hi. I actually have a stream in a half hour. But don't leave Manny's to come to mine, please. Stay here.
Oh man, if I known, I wouldn't have scheduled it, man.
No, don't worry about it. So you saw that gun, huh?
I didn't see it. I got pictures sent to me.
You got pictures sent to you. Cool,
yeah.
Man. That's awesome. Yeah.
So
I think Suffolk County has something similar with like remember that Long Island sniper I was telling you about?
Yes.
So they have a little museum with that. They have a museum with the Amityville, one of the Amityville guns. I think the shotgun they found in the water.
Oh shit.
I think they have it there on display. Pretty cool though.
That's super cool. All right, so listen, I want to carry on with the show. How do you like that theory of Roy DeMeo shooting Virginia Voskerichian?
Oh, listen, why Roy DeMeo? I mean, I know why Roy DeMeo, because you know what happens is people hear his name, they look and they say, "Oh my God," they just read like 2 paragraphs and they say, "Oh my God." So this guy must be even more diabolical. I've heard people tell me that they did satanic ceremonies. It's not the first time I've heard like weird shit with no evidence connected to it whatsoever.
And even if they did, all right, let's just say Roy DeMeo is hanging out. Let's just say even that Roy DeMeo's hanging out with Charles Manson in a backyard somewhere, and they're literally gutting a dog and hanging it. What does that have to do with David Berkowitz?
No, I mean, that's the weirdest part. Yeah, it has nothing to do with David Berkowitz. Nothing that I've ever seen. There was a little overlap in detective work on the cases, just as a historical matter. So I'm pretty sure these detectives would have connected that.
Hold on, let's get Nuke Hoax in here for his opinion. Yo, what's up, Nuke?
What's up, man?
What up, man?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay.
Good to see you. Yo, so Nuke's with us. Nuke, say hello to Crime Spot. Crime Spot, say hello to Nuke.
Hello, Crime Spot.
Nice to meet you.
What up?
So
Nice to meet
we're
you
just
too,
discussing, Nuke, the notion put forth by there's another person out there who's like the Professor Haran of of this shit, and they're constantly trying to connect the Process Church to Son of Sam. But now the latest theory is that have you ever heard of Roy DeMeo?
Yeah, he's a mobster guy, right?
Prolific killers and butchers of the Gambino crime family there is. They're saying that he did a Son of Sam shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So what's your
To get
opinion of
made.
the craziness going on out there, bro?
It's complicated, man. Like you would have whistleblowers, and you have to deal with the fact that people don't trust each other, especially the kind of people who are doing these cold-blooded murders in the street. The conspiracy angle is so much more complicated than schizophrenic lunatic David Berkowitz went outside with a gun and shot people for attention.
Right.
Thank you.
It's like, I mean, what, not to invoke Occam's razor or anything, but if you talk about what's more likely is this advanced conspiracy of cult members and all this shit, or Berkowitz is just one, he's a loner anyway. You see Berkowitz making friends with the Gambino crime family. How does that, how do they bring that up?
They got this dude hanging out with Roy Cohn, freaking Robert Mapplethorpe. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Not to mention the press attention that Berkowitz got, those guys would have killed him too. They don't want their activities on the front page of the New York Post like that.
They always say, "Oh,
Gotti was a problem for a lot of these guys."
Yeah, they always say, "Well, Berkowitz, he got his neck slashed in prison." So that was he got his neck slashed in prison because some dude wanted to make a name for. Actually, the story that was told to me was that it was a dude who just wanted to make a name for himself in prison. It had nothing whatsoever to do with keeping him quiet or any of this shit.
Yeah. I mean, as far as
you're the guy that killed the son of Sam.
As far as the DeMeo case goes, I mean, there's numerous government witnesses on that case, some who committed heinous crimes with DeMeo. None of them. I mean, why wouldn't they bring that up? What do they have to gain by not bringing it up? They have everything to lose, actually.
Exactly. One of them could say, "Yo, I know that Roy shot, but Roy did a Son of Sam shooting."
Yeah,
as if NYPD would cover that up.
Right.
What's the motive?
Exactly. So, Vince, tell the audience briefly about yourself. I've been watching you ever since you were nice to me in a comment section. See, it pays to be nice to Manny.
Yeah, of course. People of the so-called world, you listen to that.
So tell the audience about what you do, and then what I'm gonna have you do is hang out with me during the showing of the as long as you want to stay, fuck it. And Crime Spot, I know you got a show, so you just deck out whenever you want.
Yeah.
But
I want to hear about his channel.
Tell the audience about yourself.
I do a lot of Zodiac research, East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker research kind of just concluded, but I try to come to these true crime cases and be logical and be objective. Like Manny has been a big influence to me because when he showed up on the Son of Sam scene, he had an idea, he had his little theory of what he thought was going on. The evidence came out, and then he admitted he was wrong, adjusted his opinion, and followed the facts. And that's what an investigation, that's what research is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about, I have an idea that Berkowitz was in a cult and I'm going to make all these things up to try to substantiate that. And that's what we see so much in true crime. You have so much theory. They want to push an agenda, an idea. And so they're going, I think this happened, and presenting it as fact. And I try not to do that. Try to look at, and sometimes when you stick to the facts, it's just not quite as interesting as a cult theory, but at least it's true.
Right. I lost most of my fans after I came out against the Maury Terry theory.
Yeah. What's more important? It's the truth or a lot of those people you don't want as fans anyway.
I mean, whatever. I mean, exactly. I like to think that we got a smart little group going on here who can discern fantasy from reality. And it's good to see the up and coming YouTubers like New Cokes coming up. What's up, Crime?
You don't need fans and, AdSense revenue from Google if you're on the government's payroll. So I mean, I could understand, why.
The process pays well.
I was born into the process. I mean, these people have caught me out. Yeah, they were so concerned that someone was going to come against Maury Terry, the drunkard, the lunatic, the snap suture lover, the drunkard, the not good friend, the cigarette smoker. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, the dude was obsessed with urine. It was very weird stuff. But listen, let's get into the material. So everybody, check out New Cokes. I don't know if I got anybody who can quickly find New Cokes' so-called YouTube page.
So-called.
Let me run before you get into that, though, Manny.
Okay, all right.
Thanks for having me on. And one more thing, as far as being influenced by Manny, you see that thing that you just did, the hater, the loser. I do that now too. Something. I say the hater,
Nice.
the loser, the hater.
Yeah, I love it.
I go on this whole tangent because
Cool,
of Manny.
cool. That's
All
great.
right, guys.
That's great. All right, cool. See you later, man. Thanks. Okay,
All
bye.
right, see you, Crime Spot.
All right. So, everybody out there in the so-called world, we will start our slideshow, and today we're just having fun. So, of course, we're looking at Berkey's gun at the forensic lab, and also we're dealing with this issue of the question of, is Berkey dying? And of course, I will add the corollary, or is it just another narcissistic cry for attention that this dude absolutely loves? He is getting old. You'll be the judge. So anyway, we got some cool stuff, and I'm actually trying out a new computer today, so it's like kind of awkward for me to deal with the new setup here. So this stream was also a way for me to get familiar with my equipment. So Nuke, we're sitting here looking at the display, and of course we just saw this whole deal here in on that news article about John Lennon's gun, which is right above Berkowitz's gun. And for some reason, they have two sets of mugshots of this guy. I don't know exactly. Like, we've only seen one. We've never seen one with the eye closed. We've seen always this one, or maybe this. I don't even freaking know. All I know is that for some reason they have two. So the Charter Arms Bulldog, and then they have this little story down here, which is kind of interesting. And I guess like these shells for artistic effect. So let's get into the story here. And Nuke, anytime you want to break in, okay? Just and if I'm not paying attention, just break in, and if I happen to see you, you could do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
want to take over.
You want to duck out, you could duck out, but I want to include you as much as I can. So all right, so we're sitting here now getting the New York Police Department's, some writer at NYPD, I don't know exactly who, decided to write this blurb about the son of Sam. And it's interesting because even NYPD makes mistakes. Whoops. See, I'm getting used to this over here, this setup. So a killer's low-key start. So, fuck. Sorry, guys. Donna Loria's murder on 29 July 76 was, now that's weird. Who wrote this? Did an American write this? Because like Americans don't, right? Like Americans don't start with 29 July 1976. One of about 20,000 murders in the United States that year did not get a great deal of attention in New York, especially as it happened in an area of the Bronx in which the mafia held sway. That's interesting. I'm going to kind of comment as I go along. This, of course, was a heavily dominant Italian working class neighborhood, which was a mob stronghold of the Bronx, the Northeast Bronx, called Pelham Bay. The city's cynical journalist paid little heed to the killing, assuming perhaps that she had seen something or said something which had annoyed La Cosa Nostra. And of course, we're going to find out a lot more about Donna Loria this year, guys, because I have a sneaky suspicion that you're going to hear from someone soon that you've never heard from before. One of her ex-boyfriends may make an appearance at some point, who's never become public before we hooked up. And he will tell you this whole story about what happened to him after she was shot. It was quite sad, actually. 2 more murders were committed and several other people seriously injured before the penny finally dropped. At a press conference at the NYPD's headquarters at One Police Plaza on 10 March 1977, again, maybe that's NYPD speak, Nukes. Like maybe in police jargon.
It is weird, yeah.
Like they start with the date. I don't know. I've never seen that before. A posse of crime reporters were informed that the same .44 caliber revolver had been responsible for the murders of Donna Loria and Virginia Voskerichian, an 18-year-old Armenian American who had been killed 2 days before. And of course, this is the person right here who now they're saying that Roy DeMeo shot her. Is ridiculous. Police Commissioner Mike Codd said the gun, a Charter Arms Bulldog, had also been used to murder Christine Freund and in 2 other shootings in the Bronx and neighboring Queens. The New York tabloid press seized on the story, and within days, everyone in New York was aware of the existence of the man known at the time as the .44 caliber killer. Boy, whoever wrote this was pretty tedious. As serial killers go, it was not the most stimulating of sobriquets, and Berkowitz, a desperate attention seeker, seemed to realize that his audience wanted more. In the early hours of 17 April 1977, he blasted to death young lovers Alexander Esau and Valentina Suriani. He left a handwritten letter in the middle of the street nearby, addressed to Captain Joe Borelli, the deputy chief of the Omega Task Force, which had been set up the previous month to hunt down the 44 caliber. Jesus, run-on sentences, bro. The sender of the letter claimed that he had been ordered to kill by his father, Sam, who he said was a vampire. The letter was not released to the public, and only a handful of journalists were told of its contents. One of them was New York Daily News columnist Jimmy Breslin, who dropped several hints about it in his articles. On 30 May 1977, Berkowitz sent Breslin a letter, and after teasing for almost a week, the Daily News finally published it and dubbed the killer Son of Sam. Now, that's not true. Again, they get this wrong. Son of Sam was actually named after this first letter here, the Borelli letter, because he names himself Son of Sam in the Borelli letter. So you're seeing that even like if we were to use this nuke, right? This, like, a lot of people might use this as primary source, you know, and they would get it, and they would be getting wrong information, even if it comes from the NYPD. I mean, like labs, right? I mean, even if it's on a wall. All right, the long, hot summer. The summer of 1977 was sweltering, and the heat only helped to raise the tension on the streets. In the early hours of 28 June, a young Italian-American, Sal Lupo, left the Eliphas Disco in Queens with 17-year-old Judy Placido. They sat in Sal's car nearby, and Judy was saying, "This Son of Sam is really scary. The way that guy comes out of nowhere. You never know where he'll hit next." Suddenly, the car windows exploded. Whoops. And they were hit by 3 bullets from a .44 revolver. Sal staggered out of the car and ran to the disco for help as the killer fled. Miraculously, neither Sal nor Judy was badly injured. 4 weeks passed with no further incidents, and detectives were no nearer finding out the killer's identity. On the night of 31 July 1977, Stacy Moskowitz went out on a first date with handsome Bobby Violante to see the movie New York, New York. Son of Sam's hunting grounds were Bronx and Queens, so the young couple thought they were safe when they pulled up under a streetlight in a lover's lane in South Brooklyn just before 2 a.m. Stacy and Bobby were kissing in the front seat when the window shattered and she jerked forward. The gunfire had burnt Bobby's eardrums, and he also lost his left eye and much of his vision in his right eye, but he survived. Stacy was taken to the hospital, and surgeons fought for 38 hours to save her life, but it was all in vain, and she became Son of Sam's 6th victim. But Berkowitz made a mistake, which was to prove his undoing. Berkowitz parked his white Ford Galaxy next to a fire hydrant and was given a parking ticket by an eagle-eyed police officer. Okay, New Cokes, real quick. An offense in most U.S. cities. So this must have been written by someone from somewhere else.
Look at the spelling of offense too.
Is that
the CE? It's
really?
English, yeah.
All right, good. All right. So this was written by an Englishman and a European, and was given a parking ticket by an eagle-eyed police officer. When he returned to his car around 2:20 a.m., he was spotted by a local woman, Cecilia Davis, as he tore the ticket off his windscreen and threw it in the gutter. Windscreen. See, this is good doing British. This with you.
Interesting.
Now you know what they're going to say because it's British.
International cult.
Terrified of the implications, Miss Davis, a 49-year-old widow, sat on her evidence for 3 days. When she did come forward, it was initially ignored by police, who had been told by other witnesses that the killer was a fair-haired and driving a yellow VW. She was also told no parking tickets had been issued that night. But Mrs. Davis persevered, and 10 days after the shooting, police finally unearthed the ticket, which had been issued to a Ford Galaxy, registration number 561XLB. The registered owner was David Berkowitz, who lived at 35 Pine Street, blah, blah, blah. When armed police swooped on Berkowitz as he got into his car and demanded to know who he was, he smiled manically and said, "I'm Sam." Now, of course, there's a lot of conjecture as to what the dude actually said. Some people say, "I'm Sam." Some people say that he looked up cherubically with a smile and said, "What took you so long?" I'm not sure exactly what the dude said. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever know. He was taken into custody and confessed to all 6 murders and several other shootings during a 30-minute interview. That's not true. It was like a 3-hour long interview with every DA from every county in New York. Detectives quizzed him about references he had made in letters to Sam. He claimed he had been ordered to commit the murders by a near neighbor, there you go, Sam Carr, but said the messages were passed on by Carr's demon dog, a black Labrador called Harvey. The Carr family knew of Berkowitz and suspected he had been responsible for shooting Harvey, who survived, and hurling a Molotov cocktail through the window of their home. Several court-appointed psychiatrists disagreed about whether or not Berkowitz was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. But it did not matter because he pleaded guilty to the murders and was jailed for 365 years. Berkowitz himself will only say of the killings, "There were others who knew about them and urged me on, but I carried out the killings. I take full responsibility for my actions." Now, before we go any further with this, I think we need to clarify this for people who are getting excited out there. Oh my God, Manny himself, he self-owned. NYPD even admits there were others. Yeah. You know who were the others? The freaking General Jack Cosmo, John Wheaties, all these make-believe generals in his demon army who were ordering him to do the shooting. So this could get people in a lot of trouble right here. And so before we go any further to this last paragraph, I just want to deal with that. And so let me just get this last paragraph and then we'll get your thoughts on the matter. In his letter to Governor Pataki, Berkowitz wrote, "In all honesty, I believe that I deserve to be in prison for the rest of my life. I have, with God's help, long ago come to terms with my situation, and I have accepted my punishment." All right. So what do you think about that as I look at, hold on one second, as I look and see who has called in? We got Gary here. Let's get Gary in the mix. Gary.
Oh, I'm already gone. I didn't expect that. How you doing?
Good. So, well, first of all, before we continue, Gary New Cokes, Gary.
Hey, how you doing?
Gary New Cokes. It was actually very close friends with Valentina Suriani, one of the victims actually that we just read about in Son of Sam.
Oh, he knew that. Didn't he know that?
I don't think so.
I think I've seen you on the Grossman Files before, but I don't know like the full background.
I've been on long enough, so I've been on often enough where I'm probably like Ed McMahon. You know.
So what's up, Gary?
All right, how you been?
Roy DeMeo hanging out with Charles Manson.
What now? Because I was in and out cooking. What exactly are we doing now? This is the all that stuff that you were furnished with.
No. And in fact, we're not talking about any of the stuff.
Okay.
That I was furnished with.
Let's edit that.
No, the audience knows I'm sitting on a pile of great shit, but I really don't want to get into details. So we'll just
you know what you were reading was part of what.
No.
Okay.
This is from the NYPD forensics lab.
Okay.
And so let's carry on a little bit more while we got you, Gary.
So I'm up to speed now. Okay.
Right, exactly. So these are close-ups taken of the Charter Arms. This is the exact weapon used by David Berkowitz, the son of Sam Killer, who terrorized the city in the summer of '77. Berkowitz is serving 365 years.
That blows my mind. I mean, that's like 4K detail.
Yeah, and we have actually better shots too. Yeah. But yeah, so we have this is close up of the barrel.
Wow.
Incredible.
Little nick right out there.
Yeah, it looks like it's 48 years old or so.
Yeah, I mean, I actually find it to be, I know this sounds a little weird, but I find it to be quite an attractive looking object. Mm-hmm. You know, despite its history.
Mm.
So here's the barrel close up.
It's the cylinder, Manny.
Oh, cylinder? Yeah, so it shows how much I know. This is all, like, what's this right here? What am I looking at right here?
You pull that and the cylinder will pop out sideways. There's a little hinge that right there, right before the
Oh,
barrel
that's the
starts.
thing that pulls out.
If you
and
pull
this
that
comes
out,
you
where
can load the bullets. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
it
a little
comes out
bent.
sideways.
I don't think that matters for anything though.
Yeah, probably not.
And then we have what else do we have here? And then our last photo, because how many photos can you take of a gun? Is the handle, which is all messed up, of course.
Is
And
that? I think that's from age, Manny, or that's from use or drop?
I really can't say. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably someone out there who would be interested in like looking at the footage from the press conference.
Yeah.
And seeing if that same damage is on the gun.
I don't think it was. Like if I have a pretty good, somewhat photographic memory, and it looked a lot cleaner than that at the time.
It looks like there's a saw mark going through the handle there.
Where here?
Interesting. No, a little bit to the right of where your cursor is, and then go straight down and to the right. And you see that the jagged saw mark that cuts. It cuts right to the right of the screw holding the.
It's like a gouge. It's almost like a gouge in the handle.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you're right. And it's filled with some sort of filler or glue that looks like it's just expanded or cracked over the years.
It couldn't have been in that shape when he was using it, though.
So Autumn Fragrance calls that the injection rod. Hold on one second.
Injection rod? It sounds dirty.
Ejection. No, I'm sorry. Ejection rod. That sounds dirty, too.
Oh, wow.
The ejection rod.
That sounds worse.
So Ralph, dude,
flip the
great point.
down.
John Catalano about mob not killing women. That stood me a suspect claim in the Savino and original SOS cases. Oh, everyone's trying to make Savino into a mob case. It's ridiculous.
Of course, yeah.
They can't handle the fact that like we just happened to find somebody out there who drew a perfect sketch of Berkowitz. Said that
Manny, you got to get that little clip of Jack Nicholson, and just every once in a while, you know, when it calls for it, you can't handle the truth.
It's ridiculous already. I'm just looking at the chat here to see if there's anything that I missed because I was so busy hanging with you guys. So John Catalano said, what's up with this myth that the American mob kills women? Have there been 5 women killed by the mob in history? I doubt it's that many. Right, exactly. They just don't do it. It's not done. The only person that I know of, Crime Spot told me about, a guy named Mike Mancuso. It was in the Bronx. It happened in the 80s. And everybody thought this guy was insane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many reasons why Joe Savino did not have his wife killed, especially in that manner, that anyway, we're not going to go into it now. We're going to be, this is going to be a Savino year. Because
I mean, you've proved this to the point of nausea. I mean, anybody, no, I mean, I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean that, you know, these losers who, you know, believe anything else, I mean, enough already.
Yeah, I agree. It's gotten to the point of ridiculousness. You know, look, I'm bored now. Like it's a dead period so I got no work. It's dead of winter. I can't really do a lot of material that I want because I'm waiting for this Netflix thing to come out, and I'm trying to time things with that. And so I'm in this lull. So what happens is I end up getting into it with these morons online. It's really, it's such a waste of time.
Oh, just block them.
I do, but I have fun with it. But at the same time,
I know.
I'm really trying earnestly to teach them. Like, yo, you're out of your minds. But I don't know. Maybe my approach is just.
You can't teach people anything when they have the mentality of a handball. I'm sorry, you just can't.
Exactly, and I mean.
Remember Forrest Gump? Stupid is as stupid does. You know.
So all right, guys. So as not to because you know I like to keep things tight. I could sit and talk all day long.
I know.
Especially about the idiots that we know as the so-called morons.
I just can't believe that they're still going on with this.
I mean,
it's just
more need to know about. This,
I mean, you know, like, and I've said this before, you idiots. I was actually sitting next to Billy the artist, drawing these things with him.
Yeah, Nuke, you know what's crazy about Gary is that there's this weird 6 degree of separation between the whole Valentina Suriani crew and this video series that I'm doing. And not only did Gary know Valentina, but he also grew up with Billy the artist.
Yeah.
And when they were kids together, they would draw
Yeah.
comic book characters. And so everyone says, "Oh yeah, Billy's a liar," and Billy is a liar. He lied to Maury Terry. He may have even lied to me.
He only lied to get drugs, but I sat next to him for years.
I mean, there's
comic book art.
Right, exactly. And so the only thing that matters isn't like what he's drawing now and if a picture of me looks like that. The only thing that matters in this whole discussion is the fact that the picture on the left, Maury Terry actually gave that to Berkowitz on national television. And Berkowitz said that that was Moloch. And that this was Maria, and that he hung out with them at Untermeyer Park. And you're seeing them in Conan the Barbarian.
I would have loved to know what was Berkowitz's head like. What is this idiot?
Well, if you read their correspondence together, Berkowitz was appalled after that interview.
Yeah.
It's odd because Berkowitz had a weird sense of morality about this whole thing that Maury Terry had no compunction of. Berkowitz was writing about, Maury, you're so obsessed with this. You're too obsessed. I know you have your agenda, but you're starting to go a little overboard. I didn't know what to do with these questions during the interview. You were making me very uncomfortable. And yeah, I mean, that's a whole sordid tale. But why don't we get into into the issue? So any thoughts, Nuke?
Oh, I like that Moloch drawing. Like, what's that supposed to be? One of the shooters? I mean, it's not even a human.
Nuke, if you go on to Unsolved Mysteries,
this is what
it's one of these shows that they did in the 90s with Maury Terry. Billy the artist, the guy who I interviewed and who's Maury Terry calls him his most crucial eyewitness. Billy the artist gives him Maury Terry these drawings and says, "These are the cult leaders of the process who I hung out with at Untermeyer Park." I'll send these to you. You could use them on your show. And so when I met Billy in 2024, he goes, "No, that was this dude from Conan the Barbarian. I just gave Maury comic book art." And I said, "Well, who was this?" Because Berkowitz said that this was a cult member named Maria Cortina. And he goes, that was from the same comic book.
Yeah.
And I found them, and this is what caused a lot of people to get off the Maury train. And because, you know, it's one thing to analyze a million police documents, but it's another to actually see it like that. Anyway, all right. So is Berkey dying, or is he just looking for a narcissistic bout of attention? I don't know. He is getting old.
He's not looking good.
He's not looking good.
No.
He has. You ever see that movie? Basket Case.
Yes. That's like it's a shitty movie, but
but you remember Belial?
Yeah.
Yo, Berkowitz is toting around Belial on his elbow, like he has another Berkowitz growing out of his elbow. It's kind of weird looking, and of course, you know, a lifetime of lying and conning people will do that to you.
Well, he probably figures two heads are better than one, so
he's just absolutely. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is some weird shit, and we're going to read it. So these are 3 blogs that I recently found in his blog, Arise and Shine, which we will read, A Trip to the Hospital. And of course, notice the cur, the devilish leer.
Yeah. He looks like
I said the same thing. I said he looks like Freddy Krueger and a Jewish grandpa mixed.
Or Grandpa Munster, one of them.
Look at his ears.
Sammy the Bull.
He does look like him. Hold on.
Yeah, look at that. It's perfect.
Berkowitz has turned into Moloch.
Yeah. He does look like.
Through the passage of time, Berkowitz has turned into Moloch. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
What happens when you shoot people.
All right. So A Trip to the Hospital. Now all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we might think or ask. Ephesians 30:20. And there he goes again, spouting a Bible passage. This dude just loves spouting Bible passages. He can kill someone in cold blood. He could shoot them dead on a street in New York City, but as long as he precedes it with a Bible passage,
He can spout all he wants. He's still going to hell.
Yeah, all is forgiven. It is said that God works in mysterious ways, and what I'm going to share in this entry attests to this. Last week, I went to the prison's infirmary because I had a toothache. But when I walked past the nurse's station, one of the nurses stopped me and asked, "David, why are you breathing so hard?" I politely responded, "I don't know." She then said, "I'm going to tell the doctor." Notice how he says politely responded. Like he always tries to make himself look like an angel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tried to dissuade her because I dislike going to the doctor, but she was adamant. "No, I'm going to tell him about your shortness of breath." I simply shrugged and said, "Whatever. I've known her for years, and she's always been kind and helpful to the inmates." And a few minutes later, she returned and told me that the doctor ordered her to perform an electrocardiograph, EKG, on me. I tried to protest in a friendly manner, but she wasn't going for it. "Doctor's orders," she said. Yo, this is sounding like some 1950s fantasy. So off we went into the examination room. Then, when she was done with the EKG, she took the results to the doctor. The next thing I knew, she was calling for an ambulance as per the doctor's instructions. And about 30 minutes later, off I went, toothache and all. Whoops.
They have an ambulance at the prison?
Well, yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, of course, because these people are always getting into. Going on an outside trip is no joyride. Chained and shackled with leg irons and in handcuffs, the ambulance crew drove me right into the emergency room, where I was then directed to a room on an upper floor. The nurses were great, friendly and professional. They put me onto a real bed with a real mattress, not at all like the thin ones at the prison, which sit on top of a solid steel platform and leave you waking up the next day feeling stiff and with aching bones. Then came a barrage of tests, everything from blood work to a magnetic resonance imaging exam. The results, to my surprise, they discovered that my heart wasn't beating in its correct rhythm, that it needed to be adjusted before I ended up with a stroke, while at the same time it was discovered that I developed pneumonia in my left lung. I was stunned. I had no idea this was all going on inside my body, while adding to the drama was my aching tooth. I know. I feel so bad for him. He has an aching tooth.
He's really dramatizing a problem with this. I mean, it's like a short novel that he's going on with this.
I know. I'm starting to get really bored reading this.
It was mad, like, well, I had a toothache. I didn't want to go, but it made me go. End of story.
Right. And then wait till you see where this goes, bro. So here I was staying in a room with 2 correction officers to keep watch over me throughout the night. When early in the morning on the following day came the cardio crew. Several cardiologists, along with a few nurses, introduced themselves to me and told me they were here to fix my heart. I was smiling, but they weren't. To them, fixing a patient's heart is a top priority. But my mind was on getting breakfast, even now with a swollen mouth. Keeps on repeating. Every paragraph ends with a freaking reference to his tooth.
This guy, if he had any conscience, he would have just gone off to prison silently and never said another word. Look at this drama queen, murdered 6 people.
Exactly. Shut your mouth.
I know. Feel sorry for me. And then also this whole drama with, hey, look at me, I'm a Christian. Then I'm not a Christian. Then I'm a Christian again. And then I'm...
all of it.
So within
if you were really a Christian, you would have confessed about Wendy Savino too.
And I know he lied about Wendy. It's going to come out soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's coming out already.
Wait till you see, my man, what's coming. So within the next few days, nurses came in and out of my room to check my vitals or to draw blood. It was nice being around them because they were always so pleasant and upbeat. Yet it was also boring. I'm not used to lounging around, even with a comfortable bed to lie on. But then came time for the procedure to get my heart back in its proper rhythm. So off I went to meet with the cardiologist who was going to do what's known as a cardio conversion. I was given an anesthesia to put me to sleep so he could zap my heart with electrical charges, and it worked. While at the same time, I was being given heavy doses of antibiotics to fight against pneumonia and pain relievers to deal with my toothache. But right. But then came another surprise. The day after my procedure, while I was resting on my bed, in walked one of the hospital's cardiologists. I looked up as he entered the room. He had a big smile on his face. I noticed, too, that he had a Bible in his hands. My immediate thought was, he's coming to give me my last rites. Instead, he asked me, David, can I pray for you? I quickly said, okay. Well, at the same moment, I turned to the guards who were sitting across the room and asked if it was all right with them. They both gave a disinterested shrug and said, yeah, go ahead.
I bless your tooth.
What are the chances of you think of this actually happening, do you think?
I think it happened, but when you make it all colorful and literary, it just sounds a little bit.
It might have happened.
Wild, but it probably happened.
We're not done.
I mean,
they're praying now, so we did.
Okay.
So
I sat up as we bowed our heads. He prayed first, then I, in turn, prayed for him. I half expect them to start doing reach arounds on each other next. I mean, come on. And when we were done, he told me how much my story of God's having redeemed me from all my sins and crimes inspired him. He then asked if it was okay to give me the Bible he'd been carrying. He said he'd inscribe a message in it for me as well. So I told him that he needed to ask the guards for permission to do that. And again, he got the same response as before. Yeah, go ahead. After the doctor left, I looked at what he wrote. With blue ink, he penned these words. To my brother in Christ, Mr. David, thank you for inspiring me and many more to draw near to the everlasting wonder that is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. As I write this, I am obviously out in the hospital and back in my prison cell, and with me is the Bible signed by the doctor, whose name I've omitted for privacy reasons. It's a gift I'll always treasure. My stay in the hospital turned out to be a blessing. An alert nurse at the prison observed my shortness of breath. She in turn alerted the doctor in spite of my protests. As it turned out, unbeknownst to me, my heart was in need of a tune-up, and I'd been battling pneumonia without my being aware of it. The medical staff at the hospital took care of me, but they don't do dental work. I still have a bad toothache.
I think after 48 years, he was getting another ejection rod. I don't know.
Was he the ejector or the injector?
It's hard to say.
Well, he ended this whole thing with the toothache, and notice how he talks this whole thing about how great they were, but at the end he kind of shits on them. He's like, "Yeah, but they didn't actually fix my real problem."
Yeah, I know.
I mean, most people say they have a toothache, and that's the end of the conversation. This stuff is just, I mean, he's doing a whole, like a penthouse letters thing here.
I know, it's crazy.
I think this is an extension of the Son of Sam letters.
It's a good observation.
He's doing the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing, except now he's not on a mission to kill. He's it's writing to the press.
He has to let everybody know.
Stop.
And
he never stops.
That's actually much more of a astute point than Nuke, because
he's a maniac.
Well, there's little nods to the Son of Sam letters in some of these blogs if you know the case enough. So, Son of Hope.
What does he call himself? Son of something now? Son of Hope. I mean, he's using the same name.
So I have two more blogs. They're not as long, so we're not gonna be bored to death. Hold on, let's just see how the chat's doing. I've been ignoring the chat for a little while.
Manny, he's got to know about your discovery of Wendy, right?
Well, they interrogated him.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And
he lied in the interrogation, and that's going to come out.
Of course. Yeah.
He lied down to the amount of time the interrogation took. He said it was 2 hours. The interrogation was 1 hour. So he's like, go ahead.
And he's But he's like, oh, I only used a 44. That's not me. He used a 38.
He used a bunch of weapons.
But
We all know
you
that.
know,
It's going to get
more
deep,
than-
guys, and that's really all I want to say.
Mhm.
We're going to learn about Messina, the alleged shooter that these people are desperately clinging on to in the hopes that they can prove me wrong. And again, I'm just the middleman on Savino. What did I do? I just discovered a story and told it. The actual actors in this were the original detective who found her case and put it into the Son of Sam files.
Yeah, but then you got hold of Mike, and then you got a hold of her, and you did the interview. I mean, Manny. I mean, come on. I was like really proud. I was like, hey, wow, that was.
Thank you. I appreciate it greatly, but I was just the conduit through which the story was told, and it was a 1 in a million find, and we're not going to do it again. I think Berkowitz has more bodies? Absolutely. Are we going to find them? No. So,
Right.
So I mean, maybe one day I'll even get into the cases that I think he's involved with, because I already have at least 2.
Because the MO is the similar or the same, probably, right?
Correct. But that's for another time. So Nicoz Moss says, yeah, because Berkey is the main character of the universe. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on. What Ralph Dude's always good for a good comment. He must be very bored. Hilarious people insist he did not write the SOS letter. The found frame for writing the letters. Also, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good stream. I mean, we were really bringing up logical and funny answers to the morons.
Yeah. If anybody's saying hello, I apologize. I'm trying to concentrate on this.
All right, so let's get through the next blog posting, okay? Because we're getting a little deeper now into the story of, is this guy dying or not, right? Or is this just another narcissistic call for attention?
Of course it
So his next blog is, of course, very, very stark. Pursued by death.
Dear Penthouse.
Give thanks to him who parted the Red Sea. His faithfulness endures forever. There he goes again. God's protection of the Israelites often reached monumental and historic proportions. Biblical accounts confirm this to be true, and one famous incident which comes to mind was the parting of the Red Sea. In this instance, the Lord allowed the Jews to cross a wide expanse of water in order to escape from the clutches of an evil Pharaoh and his vast army. Pharaoh wanted to drag the Israelites back to Egypt and return them to lives of oppression and slavery. He most certainly would have killed all who would have resisted as well, but God wasn't having any of it. After miraculously separating the sea and drying up the ground to allow multiples of Jews to cross safely to the other side, when Pharaoh and his soldiers likewise tried to cross, God caused the waters to rush back, thus drowning Pharaoh and his entire army. As a result of this miracle, the Israelites continued along on a journey that would eventually lead them to the Promised Land. Yet as I was reading this story, I could not help but think of my own situation.
Oh, God.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. We got someone else that's looking like someone else called in. Oh, Johnny Cat. Let's get him in here. Yo, Johnny Cat. Johnny Cat.
Big John.
You're on a tear tonight, brother.
Come on in, my man. Let's share in the fun.
Well, we got to keep it entertaining, John.
Let me see if I can get us to the side so people could actually read the. All right, there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so yeah, I was reading this. I could not help but think of my own situation. Having a potentially dangerous infection, which had it gotten any worse, could have killed me, but it didn't happen. Why? Because the Lord intervened. And anybody, please, John, just chime in whenever you want.
There's a big delay.
Oh, you got a delay. Come back, sign out and come back in, see what happens. Or turn off your YouTube. He probably has his YouTube on still. I then thought about my reckless behaviors and the many times I contemplated committing suicide even as a child, or how I would purposely put myself in dangerous situations because of my then unconscious death wish. Yet the Lord, with his unseen hands, was there to protect me. I wouldn't come to realize this until many years later, however.
Can you imagine how the survivors of some of these things feel reading this crap?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting taken care of, hospital, free stays, dental work, freaking.
Not just that, he's talking about being saved as a kid. So this predate, he's getting divine intervention saves his life before he goes on to be gunning people down.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is somehow a good thing.
Oh,
This
right.
is allowed,
He's talking about the Lord intervening as a child.
Yeah. What a
Yeah, that is kind of ill, actually.
Yeah.
There are people who actually write David, I love you. Like they
Oh,
actually they actually tell him that they love him.
Because he's celebrity. I guess they, a lot of women they write murderers and serial killers in jail. They have some kind of strange, attraction to these people. This is probably the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. These people who think that I'm in the process, they're actually his fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely out of their minds.
Yeah.
John, we gotten rid of the delay?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it was probably your YouTube feed coming through.
Yeah, I always make sure I mute that before I come in.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
All right, what's on, John? What's going on?
Hey, John, you don't know New Cokes. He's new to the crowd here, but we like New Cokes over here. So New Cokes, meet John, a veteran of the.
Cokes. Nice to meet you, man. How you doing?
Nice to meet you. Good, man. How are you?
All right. So next Thursday is 48 years.
Yes.
That Christine Freund was murdered, and these conspiracy nuts still don't want to give her family closure, trying to make believe that somebody else shot her. Mm-hmm. Like, when is it going to stop, man?
It never is, because it's a religion to these people.
It's really disgusting.
They forget, and Manny, we mentioned this a long time ago, when Maury first went to sell his book, and I guess he was going to take the simple route. They told him it's not exciting enough. You need to make it more exciting.
Correct.
That's why he put all this bullshit in it.
I forgot about that. Yes,
remember we talked about that like a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah. I had somebody from the publishing industry who knew. They said that the original manuscript wasn't sexy, and that to sex it up, and that's when all the stuff about the process went.
Right.
And you could actually see that it's not just
the cult. That's why he threw all that bullshit in there.
Right. And when I actually saw Maury's files, and some of these might be in the People versus David Berkowitz, when they took the files that I got and posted them up there, there are actually a few revisions to The Ultimate Evil that I scanned, a few chapters that he rewrote, et cetera, et cetera. So you can kind of see that as it went on. So,
Manny, didn't that book get revised at least 2 times?
Yeah.
What didn't he also have to settle a lawsuit with the OTO?
I think so, but I really know nothing about that, because I don't know. There's just certain, even when I was a conspiracy head, there were certain things that bored the shit out of me, like occult stuff and history of the process, and who gives a shit about any of that crap?
So irrelevant.
It's just so irrelevant to the modern world.
Nothing to do with what happened there.
Or anything. I mean, it was just mainly a bunch of rich kids who were probably at worst doing espionage and, maybe psychological, spying on politicians, with sex stuff.
And we still said, there was a cult, but it had nothing to do with Berkeley.
Yeah, and even that, I'm like, sometimes I'm such a Son of Sam nerd. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think about is like, why would they meet in Untermeyer Park? Like,
yeah. Well, it was probably not as vast as we originally, like all the sacrifice. It probably wasn't as, like crazy as we originally thought.
Right.
The hoods and everything. Although, what was the guy? Oh,
Mr. E.
Mr. E. I mean, he did see some shit.
He did say he saw some shit. I mean, that's the thing.
So, he seemed pretty believable to me. I mean, I
think so too. I think he was telling the truth, and I think at best there was just weird stuff because it was just.
Oh no! And Burns saw some weird.
Yeah, but we also got to remember the sociology of the 70s, right? And the early 80s. This stuff happened in the woods. It just for some reason people were into that crap. I don't know why. Now people do other stuff. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
It's funny, like, because even in the Netflix series, like Kevin Murphy says, Maury was right a lot more than times than he was wrong. and Carl does his truth meter. You know, the truth.
Yeah, the infamous truth meter.
I actually can't think of one thing he was right about. Actually, he did come around to say that Aldous Perry was killed by the security guard, but not for his whole storyline was completely flawed. He had him that he was a member of the cult and there was someone else with him. So I actually can't think of one thing he was right about. Can anybody else please correct me?
The
book
basic information, the who, what, where, what, and when. Not the why, but the when. But he got the dates right. That's basically it.
Anybody else think of anything he was right about? Because I just don't understand what these people see, like what their perception of these facts are. How could we be so wrong about?
Well, he was right about stuff that was already established, but he just threw all
dates and times. Well, gee, I should hope so.
I mean, he got the names of victims right. He got that.
There's one thing that I'm noticing now, and as I get deeper into studying the mind of the moron, they have totally linked the Son of Sam story in with the whole wider conspiracy of the Illuminati and the secret societies that control everything, the Masons, Jeffrey Epstein. They've attached itself to that. And there's also a heavy aspect of anti-Jewish hatred that goes along with that. I've seen it. Their comments are disgusting. They call me Jew this, Jew that. So it's so caught
like to make
in their
fun of Italians too.
Right. They call you Toto. Right. It's so caught up in their worldview, they can't extract it out.
Right.
And so, because if you extract out Son of Sam out of their table, right, like you extract that leg out, the whole shit falls. Once you find out that Dave McGowan was a hack, that Peter Levenda didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, that Maury Terry was indeed a drunk who made up the story.
It's a big Jenga tower. That's what it is.
Right.
I mean, let's assume you put aside Donna DeMasi and Joanne Lamito's positive identification of Berkowitz. Let's put aside Sal Lupo and Judy Placido's identification of Berkowitz. Let's put aside Cecilia Davis seeing Berkowitz at the scene. Robert Violante describing him in the park.
Perfectly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put all that aside.
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago, Berkowitz reconfessed to doing it all again.
Yeah.
Right.
So
He said he did it.
How much do you need?
Well, this case, you have one murder weapon. The ballistics ties everything to one murder weapon. One guy was arrested with that weapon.
Yeah.
Right.
What else?
There is nothing else.
I mean,
and there was nothing else. There was nothing else
goofy.
Until Maury Terry came around. And if
Maury
Terry hadn't come around,
had said they were passing that gun around.
Right. If Maury Terry hadn't come around, there wouldn't have been anything else.
For the longest time, I thought there were a lot of other people, but a lot of that began with the different witness sketches.
Correct. Right.
But then I with you,
right.
I came to realize that sketches vary from person to person, and so it really has no weight.
It has weight though once you analyze this actual Son of Sam sketches, because they're all 5'9", 160 to 180 pounds.
Right. But every sketch is going to be there's going to be
the descriptions were better than the sketches.
Right.
What I think with composite sketches, the real value that lies in those is looking for features that recur between the sketches, but not necessarily any sketch in particular. So if this guy looks like okay, maybe he's got a wide nose on every sketch or something, then you might be able to conclude that maybe the offender has a wide nose. But you can't look at one sketch and go, that doesn't look like Berkowitz. These people are getting shot in the head.
Right.
And events are happening.
Right, and most of the people who might have witnessed it are dead. They can't say anything. So, it's really bad. Well, actually,
and then when they started talking about a woman into it, and then they started to drag wheat into this. I said, oh my God! I mean, there's a woman in the Yonkers police that was part of this. No wonder he got away with so long. I mean, I really fell for a lot of crap.
Well, we all did because we didn't have the resources to check book facts.
Once those Queens DA files dropped, John, that was
it for me too.
To me, that was it. It ended there.
Right. And it was so obvious. And then even John has family that was lied about in The Ultimate Evil.
Yeah,
So
he lied about my aunt's police report, and
Yeah.
her report was so insignificant to the shooting. All she did was see a car drive by like a half hour after the murder. But he even had to lie about that. He tried to turn it around that she saw the shooters fleeing the scene.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, I was going to continue on with a lot of these blogs, but I'm so freaking bored by them. Berkowitz is absolutely boring as hell. So what I think I'm going to do is just go to the last two, which are just 1 page long, because they kind of make, like, we won't finish the one we just were started. It's just more Red Sea shit and how blessed he is of the freaking Lord and how the Lord parted the Red Sea.
Now I feel like I interrupted the show.
No. I'm having a good time.
No.
So this is why I say, is Berkey dying, right? Because we have this blog entry from 11/7/24.
Looking forward to heaven. Oh, geez.
Looking forward to heaven.
Oh, brother.
For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Philippians 1:21 KGV. All right, there we go. What more can I say? I dodged the angel of death once again. To the Lord Jesus be the praise and the glory. It was a close close call and a victory for those who had been praying for me. My body battled a serious infection, which was bad enough to put me in an outside hospital for almost a week and then into the prison infirmary for over a month. Nevertheless, had I died from this now gone infection, it would have worked out for my benefit. This being my going to heaven to be in the actual presence of the Lord Jesus. Just think, right now, had I passed away, I'd be hanging out with Moses and King David and with St. Peter and Apostle Paul. Oh, and of course, with all my many friends who have already died and gone to heaven before me. Truly, I can this is much like this is true, right? This is actually this right here, the truly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tell. That's one of Berkowitz's ticks. He did this in the Son of Sam letters too. He started things with true, and he would put a true or truly with the freaking comma at the end. Anyway, I don't know why I got caught up on that. I can confess that God has been good to me. He has not punished me for the many sins I committed against him. Instead, he has allowed me to thrive both physically and spiritually as I live out my days inside a maximum security prison and in an environment where many of its residents experience an array of negative emotions such as loneliness and depression, along with feelings of anger, frustration, and hopelessness. Christ has allowed me to triumph over these things. By the grace of God, I have not succumbed to the dark forces of gloom and despair. Through the help of the Holy Spirit, I have stayed on course, and I hope to remain faithful to the Lord until I am home, this being heaven. So what do you guys think about that, Nuke?
It's just such a slap in the face of everybody he's killed and shot. I mean, he's over here talking about how happy
and he's
he
thriving
is now, and he hasn't had to be punished for his sins. So there's people been shot over, and I think it's his way of, like I said, this is an extension of the Son of Sam letters. It's just one more Berkey slap to the victims. He won't stop. If he had any conscience about this stuff, like, I think he would not be writing this blog.
I agree.
This blog is Son of Sam redo. It's the best he can do from where he is to keep his nonsense going.
Hey, yo, John, I like this cat. What do you think?
He seems like our kind of guy.
So anyhow, all right. So
I could actually take this, Penny, and actually mold it into a stand-up routine. Aside from that, I swear to God, I could actually take this and, like clay, mold it, and I'd have people rolling.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Good. It's good stuff.
Is he trying to get to heaven? He's not going to get to heaven.
I think he
believes he will, right? Just like he's fine with killing all those people because somehow God forgave him. I mean, it's very easy to say God forgave me.
There are some things you don't get forgiven for, and that's one of them.
Right. I could say God forgave me all day long too. It doesn't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
So Ralph Dude had a good comment here before we go on to the next blog and final blog entry. Before seeing the files, the prior interactions between the cars and Berkey seemed incriminating of Wheat, but in retrospect, it was just because Berkey was schizo fixated on that. Exactly, and we never got any of the depth of knowledge as to how fixated and schizo he was against them until the files came out. We saw all those letters that he wrote. See, the problem with the morons is that they don't actually know the case and they don't care to educate themselves about the case. So, it's hard to even discuss the case with them because you're not working on an even keel.
Oh, Manny, you know what I wanted to ask you? You speak to Weed every so often. Has she expressed any? Does she feel any relief that you've pretty much exonerated her finally after all this time? Like, does she feel better in any way, or is she still, too much time has gone by and she?
Well, I'm going to be honest about old Wheat, who I like and I respect and I feel bad for as a victim. Wheat and I are not friends. I mean, we're not enemies.
No, but I know you spoke to her.
Right. We don't actually speak. We email every now and then. The last several emails between her and me, she's been very angry at me for certain things that she got very angry at the cemetery video I did. She sent me an email about how angry she was and how my facts were, this was wrong and that was wrong and all that. So my thing with Weed is that I'm not like touchy feely with her. She has never said to me, thank you for exonerating my family.
Okay.
Never. It's, I wouldn't say that she's not appreciative, but I have never felt like she's gone out of her way to like.
She never expressed.
Right.
Exactly. I got you. Do you feel that she's gotten some kind of
Yeah, I think she's happy that we all came around.
Okay.
Because it's not just me. Of course, it's Neo. It's all of it's all of my audience.
Mm-hmm.
So quite a few people have realized, what the deal is, and she's going to be exonerated. This I don't want to say too much about whatever this documentary may or may not be about that I may or may not be in a couple of months, but it certainly is very relies heavily on the truth about the story. And there's
as you know, I've contributed to it. I just hope it's
right.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't deal with any of this monetary claptrap.
Right.
I imagine a lot of these people don't want to have their whole identity and their whole memory linked to David Berkowitz. And it probably happens a lot with true crime. I mean, look at some of these people are famous for one thing, and it was getting shot by David Berkowitz, or who wants to be linked to the Son of Sam?
Well, don't tell that to Carl Denaro.
Well, he's completely insane.
He's made a career out of it.
Yeah, I mean, his whole deal. I mean, John, I don't want to put you on the spot. You know how I feel about Carl. Carl actually, he came out in a video recently and he confirmed my whole deal with how I looked in his eyes and how I knew I wouldn't see him again when we got all of Maury's files at Zeman's place. But he actually went on record and said, the reason I did that, he confirmed that happened. He goes, the reason I did that was because I caught Manny and Josh Zeman colluding together to do work together. And I caught them doing it. They were going to do something with the files together. I caught them. And that's why I never spoke to Manny again. I'm just going to put out there into the Son of Sam land. That literally never happened. Josh Zeman and I were walking his property talking about landscaping. At the end of the day, when we were done and we were all going back to our cars, me and Josh paired off together and we walked his property to talk about plants and potential landscaping projects.
It's a shame Carl didn't come around and join us. He could have joined us and helped.
He doesn't know how to pick his friends, and it's very sad because look who he's hanging out with.
I know, the denizens of the deep.
Yeah, I mean, absolute mouth breathers, the worst of the worst. So he's going nowhere. Everyone knows that he's anyway. And I don't want to go any further. I feel like I'm also making John uncomfortable. I don't want to do that.
No, but I'm not uncomfortable. I don't get those people as much as you don't. But
Right.
I don't think it's worth the energy.
Yeah.
No.
I watch a show on another network, another streaming service, and these people like insist that they have all this evidence that the process is involved and stuff. And honestly, I used to laugh about it. Now I'm disgusted. I say these people really must have psychological issues if they actually believe.
Yeah.
After all the stuff that we know now, if you still believe in that process nonsense, you have an issue. There you go.
There you go.
There's Moloch.
There's
Billy the
Berkowitz on the
artist.
left.
I was with him doing this stuff.
Right. You were with Billy the artist as a kid.
With him. I mean, come on. What more do you want? What else do you need? He's been my friend since we were 12, 13.
That would be what, 1942, 1943?
Oh, thank you.
So anyway,
you have to know, when the Billy the Artist episode ran, a lot of those people said, "What are we doing in this Son of Sam?"
A lot of people did, but it made a lot of people go deeper into their bunker.
I know. I was shocked.
Yeah, me too. I was really shocked. Here I was thinking I was bringing the righteous truth.
I thought this was the nail that was going to shut it finally.
Yeah. Well,
was
whatever.
Huge. That was
it actually was.
Barry,
the nail that shut it.
what took you so long to make that connection?
No, you know what it is. You know what it is. I saw that special on what was the
Unsolved
show?
Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries. I saw that, but can you believe that because he had the hat on and the glasses, and I did not
voice
put
was
it together, and I had lost touch with him around 82, 83. So that was before he did that. And so I just never, but we're in touch pretty, regularly now. And, I was supposed to go down earlier, but, his phone broke, so I couldn't get a hold. So, during the spring, I'm going to go, go hang out with him for a little bit. And,
I think Billy's very angry with me right now.
Manny,
Everyone seems to get angry with me.
It didn't sound like he was, Manny, when I spoke to him last week.
It didn't sound like he was?
No, not at all. He was actually like bringing you up,
He's so pissed at me because he's like, Manny, why'd you have to tell people about drugs and that I was taking drugs?
He seemed fine. He said, man, I said, you broke this thing wide open. He goes, yeah, no, I was watching Manny. I was watching, I love watching my videos with Manny. He didn't sound like he was.
He's freaking hilarious.
Who wasn't taking drugs in the 80s? There are different levels.
I was a good boy.
Maybe he took it.
I did cocaine once, and I had a cold at the time. I told Manny this. I had a cold at the time. It cleared up my cold.
Really?
I'm going to say this last thing.
Yeah.
I honestly believe, of all the fantastic stuff you did, Billy the Artist was a huge bombshell.
But that was, it was not just me. Manny, it was a weird thing, like between Manny and I. Oh yeah, that was my friend I grew up with. Oh my God, I would love to see him again.
That put the nail in the coffin of the
exactly. It was the simplest
of the book.
Right. It was the simplest and starkest example of the lie.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get any simpler than that. Nobody can understand, John. Nobody can understand our analysis of Brooklyn except for the more intelligent people. Nobody can understand our analysis of Freund and Boscorici, and that we did using hundreds and hundreds of documents as our sources.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But Moloch and all I say now is hey, it was B, as we can all now see. So that's my
Conan was a big title for us. We that was one of our favorite titles collecting.
All right, guys. Oh, sorry.
I'm going to leave you guys be. Nice seeing you, Manny. Good show.
All right, Johnny. Thanks, bud.
John, take it easy.
Take care, Gary. Nice meeting you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
All right, cool. What were you about to say, Nuke, before we get?
What do people believe that sketch is supposed to
be?
This
is the leader. This is the elder leader of the process who came to Untermeyer Park and took over the cult.
That's not a human.
It's Gimel Ishbi. I mean, that's who it is. It's literally Gimel Ishbi. But until I found this was literally in Maury Terry land,
Mhm.
the leader of the cult who ordered Berkowitz to go and do the shootings. This was a drawing.
These people are not well.
No.
All right. So our last blog, it's only 1 page long. It's not a tome, but we're dealing now. So he went to the hospital. He was back from the hospital. Everything was about the Red Sea and parting the Red Sea and about how it was all related back to him. Well, now after all that downtime, Berkowitz is back to my cell. For I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. Being shut away in the prison's infirmary, as poisonous pus slowly drained from my mouth, has afforded me more time to pray, read, and rest. It's something that's not easy to do in a wild and noisy cell block, which in my estimation should be labeled as a toxic environment. Now, one thing I want you to notice, guys, is the anger that's creeping into this writing.
Yeah.
The noise. The toxic environment of the noise.
The noise.
It's like we're
the noise. It's
like
just
we're
like
back
the
in
letter.
1977.
We're back in 1977.
That is-
Leave it to the Lord to turn an infection into a blessing. Although I missed being with my friends and attending Bible studies and worship services in the chapel, getting to live in an environment of peace and quiet was a gift from God. My week's hospital stay in a nearby city, followed by more than a month being shut away in a room by myself in the prison's infirmary, was just what Dr. Jesus prescribed to treat someone who was suffering from a prolonged season of exhaustion and burnout. However, with this said, Dr. Jesus.
Dr. Jesus.
Sounds like a Muppet.
Yeah.
However,
How's Oscar, Dr. Jesus?
with that said, my season of privacy and quiet and being able to watch the deer as they roamed around the wooded field around my room's window has come to its end. Having been released from the infirmary, I'm now back in my cell and I had a lot of cleaning and putting things in order. And although it's nice reconnecting with my friends in the housing unit and rejoining my church family in the chapel, the quietness of my living in my own room cannot be replaced. Now, it's a matter of having to rely upon the Lord for the inner strength to endure. It's back to the front lines. It's a return to high levels of spiritual warfare. But God is faithful. He will give me the power to hang in there. As the scripture declares, despite all these things, I am more than a conqueror through Christ who loves me. So on and so
You know, he's basically just publishing his diary.
Yeah, essentially. And but there's certain things to be gleaned. He still can't handle noise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It all reads
Yeah,
just like a
it really
sound.
does. It really does.
Really,
And
you know,
go ahead.
So for the morons that you're talking about here, like you're looking at, okay, one gun, ballistics, one guy arrested with the gun, same guy writes the same style of crap as what we
In his
saw in all
handwriting.
those letters.
All in the same handwriting.
Yeah, and also lived right next, near the cars and all these things. It all points to that one guy.
No, he hasn't
There's
changed one bit. He hasn't changed one bit.
All I ask is for proof. All I ask is for people to give me, is to give me proof.
Well, they have that drawing.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, this has been super fun. I want to give the audience a break. I didn't mean to keep them this long, but this has been great. Thanks for calling in. Really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to do it again because you're a great co-host and guest, Nuke. You have a lot of astute insight and a lot of good things to say. And for such a young kid, you look like you're what, 23, 24, 28.
28.
Nuke,
you have wisdom beyond your years.
Nuke, the emblem on your
Thanks,
shirt
man.
matches your headphones. That's
It does.
Look.
It's like the same, almost the same tone.
Oh, right. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, and Gary, as always, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for letting me in.
Nah, no problem. So I'm going to take you guys backstage. If you want to hang out till I sign off, that's fine. If you want to leave, that's fine. But I'll only be another minute if you want to say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
All right, guys. Say goodbye to Nuke and to Gary. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Manny.
See ya. All right. Well, that was a hell of a lot of fun hanging out with some old friends and some new friends. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed yourself. It has been incredibly cold here in New York, like real field temperatures, 3 degrees, 2 degrees. And although I can handle the cold and I have no problem with it, the equipment can't. So, although I want to do these walk and talks and bring the information where the background's a little bit more interesting and visually appealing, if I have anything else to say, at least while it's cold, we'll be scheduling more live streams. But be on the lookout. We are on the verge of some great, great stuff. And 2025 is our year. It's going to be the year where all this culminates. And of course, all this comes to an end as well. And so thanks everyone for being here. Hope you guys have a great, great rest of the week. And we will see you on the next episode of The Grossman Files. Take care, everybody.